Story time. Now, I had about 30, 40 pages left of this book when I was at my local library, and I hadn't experienced a Sanderlanche to this point. These are the first Brandon Sanderson books I'd read, so I didn't know what to expect. And I read the last 30, 40 pages of The Hero of Ages at the library. And for anybody that's read this book, you know what that means. It was getting dusty in that library. I was sniffling. I ended the book. I looked up. There's like a 13, 14-year-old kid a couple seats away from me looking at me like, hey, is this a grown man crying, reading a book? And the answer is yes, I was. I was reading The Hero of Ages. Now, where do I even begin with this book? If you haven't read it already, this is going to be a spoiler review. So if you haven't read it, please stop this video, go read it, come back. It's going to be a 5 out of 5 stars for you. If it's not, put in the comments why it's a not 5 out of 5, because I don't know how somebody could come to that conclusion after reading this book. I kind of just naturally want to start with Sazed. I mean, oh my, like Sazed turning into a god the way like I I can't believe the journey that he went on this book, and him losing Tinwill, and starting to doubt himself and his faith and everything he's built his whole life, and it's like that was all pointless. It was all for nothing. And then the way it's all tied in at the end. I mean, I was reading it like completely shook at how incredible that writing was, how unexpected it was for me. The way this book ends with hope, and you are excited for what's next, and it's not even from the character that you would have expected it to come from. Incredible. Next, I want to talk about Ellen and Vin. That was a relationship that I actually enjoyed more and more as the series went. I liked them more in book two than I did in book one, and I liked them more in this book than I did in the previous two. They really strengthened each other. The relationship got better throughout. They were obviously both going through their own things, to say the least, and each one of them was kind of allowed to have that journey and go through it. But then they're there for each other. Even the ending, I didn't look at it as cheesy. I liked the ending. If you would have told me I would have wanted an ending like that when I started this book, I would have said no chance. And then the way it ended up happening, I was happy with it. I was content. It was awesome. So, I mean, I don't even know if Vin is technically the protagonist or is it Sazed, but either way, Ellen, Vin, I love the relationship. Now, I know I might be harping on this a lot, but it's just because the ending was that good for me. But in terms of like the theme and the plot of the series, the way it ended in a happy ending for me was amazing. Throughout all three books, the city's falling apart. There's all these, people that they have to overcome. A lot of, in terms of like the ruin or just a lot of unanswered questions. And there's all these issues that are happening and they don't even know why they're happening. And then the last third of the book, the Sanderlanche, everything starts to fall into place. It all starts to click. It all starts to make sense. But none of it felt like pushed, or none of it felt unnecessary. It all just made sense. And even the timing, there might have been a couple things where I wish it happened earlier, but at the end of the day, I still got it. And the timing was just incredible. Everything clicked. Maybe I'm not the most like observant reader yet, but there were so many things where once it was that Brandon Sander kind of like gave it to you. It was like, hey, here's the answer to the test. I would have sit back and be like, yep, did not see that coming. And for me, as a new reader, like embarked in this awesome world, I love that. Now let me see if I can pull this comparison off. But for me, this Mistborn trilogy is like the Breaking Bad of fantasy trilogies. Because, we all can think of a show like Game of Thrones where you loved it throughout, and then the last season is so poorly done that it just taints the entire series for you, and you almost forget like how much you loved all the seasons before. And then a show like the Breaking Bad comes around where as soon as you think of it, you think of the ending, and you're like, I don't know if I could have ended that better myself. It was done perfectly. And to me, that's this trilogy. And as I continue to read, I kind of want to, for these big trilogies, or the Red Rising series, 6 or more books, I want to heavily focus on the ending, because that's what you're gonna, that's what you're gonna remember whenever you think about the series. And it turns on if you're gonna like recommend it to a friend, you're not gonna recommend a series if you know you didn't enjoy the ending. At least I wouldn't. You know, I've talked about this in previous videos, but The Name of the Wind and Patrick Rufus and the King Killer Chronicles, it's hard for me to recommend that series to someone, even though I loved it so much, because it's unfinished and I'll never know if it's going to be finished. Whereas a trilogy like The Mistborn, it's like, yeah, give these books to anybody and say, have fun. You're going to love all the books. And more importantly, when it ends, you're going to love the trilogy. So thank you for watching another episode of Filling the Shelf. We're now 12 books in. I have another trilogy down. What do you guys think I should read next? Put it in the comments on the next book that I should pick up and put on this shelf. In the meantime, if you're not already, go read for fun. Go pick up Mistborn. You're going to love it. I'll see you in next week's video.